Mr. President, will you present the honorary degree candidate, Dr. Snutch?
Mr. Chancellor, it is my privilege to present Dr. Terrence Snutch, one of this university's most gifted and accomplished alumni. Dr. Snutch's groundbreaking research in molecular neurobiology has placed him in the front ranks of those scientists whose insights into nature's mysteries most benefit society. He earned his BSc and PhD on this campus and later joined the California Institute of Technology as a senior research fellow. While there, he laid the foundation for an astonishing career in research. Among his many early discoveries, he developed a novel methodology to clone and express brain proteins, work which led to the isolation of the first serotonin receptor. Subsequently, and to this province's great good fortune, he returned home and joined the University of British Columbia, where as professor and Canada Research Chair in the Michael Smith Laboratories, he has used his formidable talents to uncover the relationship between calcium levels and pain, the role of specific calcium channels in transmitting pain signals to the body, and the potential for blockers to intercept those signals and alleviate pain symptoms. His revolutionary discoveries are the bedrock on which calcium channel research is now conducted. They have contributed inestimably towards understanding fundamental mechanisms in neurobiology, cardiovascular physiology, and cell biology. In fact, Dr. Snutch's seminal work has also provided the basis for new insights into a number of serious human genetic conditions and created unlimited new opportunities in pharmacotherapy. Dr. Snutch understood immediately the clinical possibilities of his seminal research in the global race to develop a safe and effective painkiller, and he founded Neuromed Pharmaceuticals. As its vice president and chief scientific officer, he led the company from the discovery of its pain-blocking drug through successful clinical trials. In early 2006, Neuromed licensed one of the top drugs to Merck & Company in the largest pharmaceutical licensing deal in Canadian history. Dr. Snutch has received many honors for these contributions to science and to business. They include the International Albrecht Fleckenstein Award, the Killam Research Prize, the New Frontiers in Research Award from the BC Innovation Council. He is a Fellow of the Royal Society of Canada, and in 2004, BC Biotech named him the Researcher of the Year. Today, we are honored to recognize this exemplary scientist, entrepreneur, and alumnus of Simon Fraser University. Mr. Chancellor, on behalf of the Senate of this university, I ask that you now confer upon Dr. Terrence Snutch the degree Doctor of Science honoris causa.
Terrence Snutch, by virtue of the authority vested in me and in the Senate of this university, I hereby admit you to the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa. Dr. Snutch will be hooded by Dr. Bill Crane, Associate Vice President, Academics.
Thank you very much.
It is now my pleasure to call on Dr. Snutch for his convocation address.
Yeah. Change glasses here. It's nice to be home. It's actually, I'd forgotten how beautiful the rhododendrons are, and nothing has changed much other than the faces and a few more gray hairs on some of my ex-professors out there, but they're all still here and working hard. So let me start off by thanking Simon Fraser University for this wonderful honor, especially to President Stevenson and the SFU Board of Directors for their acknowledgement of my work over the past 2 decades. It is indeed humbling to find myself up here, especially after some of the grades that I obtained in undergraduate physics and calculus. In fact, I think the only saving grace that I'm here is that there was no test. So this ceremony isn't about me. It's about you, the graduates, your families. You've all worked extremely hard, made numerous sacrifices, and you should all be heartily congratulated on a job well done. I can also say that you all made superb choices a number of years ago. First, we're at a time in our history when science and technology are the predominant underlying factors in our society and how it will be shaped, in which directions it will go in the next 50 to 100 years. You all made the decision several years ago to go into science and healthcare technology for your training, and as such, will have the distinct career and intellectual advantages over many of your colleagues out there in the rest of the world. Second, you made the conscious choice to come to Simon Fraser University for your training. And I think I speak from much personal experience, having obtained a number of degrees here already, when I say that SFU provides an outstanding foundation for what you will need out there in the real world, for being innovative, for tackling challenges thrown up at you, for making the right choices moving forward. It has served me very well over the years. If I put myself into the position that you are all in at this moment, I go back nearly 23 years to August of 1984. Within days of defending my PhD, I got on an airplane to the great unknown. And for me, that unknown was I was about to take up a postdoctoral research position at Caltech, California Institute of Technology. Coming from SFU, Caltech was a very intimidating place. Academically, Caltech ranks right up there with the top 2 or 3 universities in the U.S., Stanford, MIT, Harvard. As a group, they only consider the top 2 or 3% of the students as undergraduates and graduate students around the world. Over the years at Caltech, there have been 32 Nobel Prizes awarded to faculty and graduates. And on any given day, you can walk to the lunch for the cafeteria and come across 2 or 3 Nobel laureates in chemistry or physics or medicine. So it's a very intimidating place. And fresh from that PhD defense in 1984, I got off a plane in Los Angeles, made my way to Pasadena and Caltech, and things didn't go well from the beginning. It was around 35 degrees Celsius, about 105 Fahrenheit, and I was wearing long pants and a sweater. The head of the lab that I was entering at Caltech, Norman Davidson, was a very famous fellow, himself having been nominated multiple times for Nobel Prizes, and in fact having one of his postdoctoral fellows actually win a Nobel Prize. I soon found myself in a very different environment than the one at the Department of Biology at SFU. The labs were comparatively large. One lab had over 100 people doing science in the biology department. The lab I was entering had 19 other postdoctoral fellows. So not only was it a cultural shock in terms of size, but in terms of the background of my new colleagues. They were all from these other institutions, MIT, Stanford, Harvard, Yale. Not a single SFU grad in sight, only one other Canadian in sight, and he was from the University of Toronto. So I walked into that first lab meeting with considerable apprehension, looking around at these other 19 colleagues that I'd had from Stanford, Harvard, and the like, and I felt a bit like a member of a junior B hockey team having to face the NHL. It was intimidating, it was a bit scary, and I didn't want to open my mouth lest it be let out that this new kid from Canada, from this unknown place called Simon Fraser, didn't know a thing about science. Well, it turned out differently. I was very pleasantly surprised to find that my scientific training at Simon Fraser had been equal to or above that of my many new colleagues. At Simon Fraser, I had been taught to think concisely, to think critically, to communicate clearly, to perform research experiments at a world-class level. In short, I was prepared. I was ready. For the first time, I understood the motto, nous sommes prêts. That underlying sense of Canadian insecurity rapidly went away, and I excelled at research in my new environment. And which leads me to a small piece of advice. I'm sure that we're all in the same boat. Like myself, getting on that plane to Los Angeles 23 years ago, you may be all feeling, what's next? What can I do to make a contribution? What will provide for myself and my family? What will make the world a better place? Well, my advice is to get on that plane, go take a job somewhere else, somewhere in the world for a while, meet new and different people, experience different cultures, find out what you appreciate about those cultures, find out what you find lacking in those cultures. The net result will be that when you come back to Canada, you will not only be better off for your experience, but we will be also. From that experience, you will also find that there are many reasons why Canada is continually ranked as one of the best countries in the world to live. Of course, we have many significant and pressing issues that we need to continue to work on concerning education, health care, housing for the disadvantaged, the environment, and so on. It's not perfect here, but you'll realize that we have a great base from which to build. And by coming to Simon Fraser University to help form that base within yourselves, you have trained in science and healthcare technology. You've already got a great head start. You're all in an excellent position to help solve some of those critical issues facing society. For me personally, most of my professional successes have come from taking on challenges that in hindsight I had no business taking on, any of which could have failed at any time. In the one instance in my research, I discovered and characterized a class of genes that President Stevenson mentioned that are crucial to how many aspects of the body function, how you hear, how you see, how you feel pain, how your muscles contract. It turns out that these genes are all relevant to many types of human disease, high blood pressure and other types of cardiac disease, chronic pain, certain types of blindness, autism, certain types of cancer. When I started the project, I didn't know what I would find. That's the beauty of science. You never know what you'll find out. You'll never know where the journey will take you. In my case, when it became clear that I was onto something that could prove to be an enormous undertaking, many of my well-meaning colleagues told me not to take on the entire project, that it was too big for someone just starting out, that my competitors would come in and walk all over me. I didn't listen. Later on again, when I had the notion that I could start from scratch a drug company to develop drugs for these various diseases, I was told that it wasn't doable, that I should just pass off the ideas to a big pharmaceutical company and to consult for them. Again, I didn't listen. I could go on with other examples, but it's apparent I just don't hear the words, you can't do that, or that's not possible. My advice to you is don't be afraid to think differently. Don't be afraid to work hard. Don't be afraid to say I don't know and that you don't have all the answers. And most of all, don't be afraid to fail. The last thing I will suggest, or rather request of you, that as you go through life, as you climb that ladder of success, wherever it may take you, is to be kind and considerate of others around you, to take the time and effort to help out those who's not as well off or as fortunate as you. I'm talking about being compassionate, treating everyone equally as human beings, your work colleagues, the gas station attendant, the waitress, the custodian, everyone. Don't wait until you're at the top of the ladder to be compassionate. Don't wait until you're comfortable and successful in life to give something back. Don't wait for that call, that inevitable call from the Simon Fraser Alumni Association to give something back. It's not only the right thing to do, it's also a lot more fun and enjoyable to bring others along for the ride, to pull up others on the ladder with you. So in summary, I've been very fortunate to have passed through Simon Fraser along the way. I know from firsthand experience that you have acquired the right stuff. Nous sommes prêts, vous sommes prêts. You are ready. Thank you again for this tremendous honor.
Thank you, Dr. Snutch.